Hey folks, welcome back to Tech and More Tech. I'm Carlo, and in this video I'm going to review the brand new Hue Gradient Lightstrip. Let's get into it. As always, if you want a more detailed written review, head on over to techandmoretech.com or check the link in the description right below that like button. Full disclosure, this unit was provided to me by Philips. There are no strings attached, and I will still provide you an honest review of the product. As the name and the picture on the box suggests, this new light strip can present multiple colors at once. But not so fast. This is part of the Hue Play lineup of devices, which are designed to be part of like an entertainment zone and help immerse you into the media and entertainment of your home. Last December, Hue came out with the HDMI Sync Box, which allowed you to take external inputs like a game console or a streaming box, and then output that to your TV and intercept the signal to synchronize the colors on the TV with the lights that you have in your entertainment zone. I generally really liked it, but because you were limited to one color per light, at best you could have a couple colors behind your TV and it would be very, very expensive. We all knew that a multicolored light strip would be the best solution, just like the Philips Ambilight TV lineup is in Europe. And a little under a year later, here we have it, the Hue Gradient Lightstrip. Now, just to be clear, this does not replace the standard light strip that Philips still sells that still only does one color at a time. This is specifically designed and marketed to go behind your TV. In fact, it's even sold in terms of TV size. You have a 55 through 60 inch version, a 65 through 70 inch version, and a 75 through 85 inch version. Now, if you happen to have a TV bigger than 85 inches, first of all, nice. Second of all, the 75 through 85 will still work for you because the light strip is angled at 45 degrees to shine outwards and give you that sort of full immersive effect behind your TV. I have the 55 inch version that is paired with my 55 inch OLED TV. In the box, you'll have the light strip itself, a power brick, a power connector, and the little sort of channeling guides to stick to the back of your TV, as well as some sort of standard literature. When you go to install it, I would first recommend powering it on, A, to make sure that it works, and B, so that in the Hue app, it'll actually then give you video instructions on how to properly attach the channels and the guides to the back of your TV. I only found this out after I already attached everything to the back of my TV. The light strip itself feels really solid. It's already in a rubberized and diffused enclosure, and it's already at like a 45-degree angle. The rubber sort of makes it really easy to put into the sort of channel guides that go on the back of the TV. It doesn't slip around or anything like that. It's really fit and snug. The channels have a 3M double-sided tape on the back of them, so you place it in the top middle of the TV and then in the top corners and bottom corners, giving a big sort of lowercase n shape. You may notice that once installed, this does not cover the bottom part of the TV. Now, I don't know any sort of official reasoning, but if I had to guess, if you have your TV on a stand on like a media console or something like that, that bottom light would do pretty much absolutely nothing. And honestly, even with my wall-mounted TV, I have a soundbar under there as well, so that would block a little bit of the light. And overall, I didn't feel like I was really missing out on that much more immersion. If you have an OLED TV, you might encounter a similar situation to mine, which is the top part of the TV is a lot thinner than the bottom part, which means the top corner channels aren't actually able to be sort of attached to the TV itself. It just doesn't bend enough in that direction. But it doesn't actually matter. As long as you get that top, middle, and the bottom corner ones, the top ones kind of just hang, and it still ends up being sort of uniform and equidistant from the wall, giving you the effect that you wanted. Once it's installed, go ahead and add it to the Hue app if you haven't already. You'll add it to your entertainment zone, and now it's pretty much good to go. But you'll need one of two things. You'll need either the HDMI Sync Box that I mentioned earlier that takes external inputs to sync with the lights and the TV and everything, or if you have a computer that is your media center, you can actually just download the Hue Sync app on there, and then whatever you play on your computer will sync with the lights. I think the vast majority of people are going to fall into camp number one, which is having the HDMI Sync Box, because it allows you to synchronize any sort of streaming service boxes that you have and video game consoles and cable boxes, stuff like that. Otherwise, with the computer, you are limited to whatever your computer can output. For those of you wondering, no, the Sync Box does not support 4K at 120 Hz, so you won't get the full effect with the upcoming PS5 and Xbox. They will be limited to 60 Hz because it doesn't have HDMI 2.1. So what's the experience like? In one word, awesome. I really enjoyed the effect when I just had 2 play bars on the back of my TV because it definitely had that little extra level of immersion. But you could tell this is a good starting point, but ultimately what we want is the entire screen to be able to be synced and reflected behind it. And now that we finally have the gradient light strip, it is everything I was hoping it would be. It is awesome. As you can see, compared to the 2 play bars that I had last year, this is a whole lot more immersive. In the Hue Sync app, you can obviously adjust the intensity and the brightness to your liking to kind of figure out what the best options are depending on what content you're consuming. As you can see on this color wheel test on YouTube, it follows the color wheel really well. It's very smooth and transitioning, and it definitely adds a whole nother layer of immersion to all sorts of video games and movies and TV shows. As you can see, it extends the movies past the frame of the TV, taking over the whole room. Certain video games gain the same effect, especially ones that have dynamic and colorful backgrounds. The effect is kind of like if you had a really large image, but just the middle was in focus. The background still adds a lot of visual appeal and a lot of definition to the picture, even though it's not in focus. But if you think about how you spend your time watching TV, you realize that a lot of the media doesn't need an extra layer of immersion. What I mean by that is if you're watching ordinary TV, like a sitcom or anything sort of casual, you'll notice that the setting tends to be very static. It's always going to be like an indoor set or something like that, where the background colors don't really change much, which means there's very little effect to the whole synchronizing feature. I also found that if you have it on all of the time and you're not watching crazy action movies all of the time, it tends to kind of cheapen the experience a little bit. It's almost much more fun if you only sort of save it for watching like an action movie or an action TV show, whatever, or playing video games, because then it kind of makes the novelty factor wear off much more slowly, and it makes it that much more exciting every time you actually use it. It's like if you had a sports car, but 99% of the time you're just commuting in traffic, then you don't really get the benefit of that sports car very much and you kind of get bored of it. But if you just take your sports car out on the weekends and you drive up twisty roads, you get that excitement every single time. But you also don't have to just turn it off either. You can set it to a fun color and just have ambient lighting behind your TV, which by itself is very aesthetically pleasing and very trendy these days. The downside is when you don't have the syncing feature enabled, it can only show one color at a time. And neither in the Hue app or any other smart home app that I've tested can you get the gradient light strip to show anything besides just one color. Hue said that they wanted to focus on the TV syncing part first and get that right before focusing on other features. I hope that we at least get like a Hue Labs option somewhat soon to play around with the multicolor effects, because there's definitely a lot of cool stuff you can do that makes for a great party trick when you're having friends over. So all this brings us to the golden question. Should you buy this? Well, let's start with the price. The 55-inch version is $200. The 65-inch version is $220, and the 75-inch version is $240. Now, I know a whole lot of you just went, oof, that is a lot of money. But wait, there's more. Remember that HDMI sync box that I mentioned earlier that you need in order to, synchronize your console and all that kind of stuff? That's also $230. That's $430 before tax to get the colors on your TV to synchronize with your Hue lights. Now, I'm not going to pretend like that isn't a lot of money, because it is. So here's my key takeaway. Ultimately, there's nothing else like this, especially not from a plug-and-play point of view. And it is very, very cool. But I would say there are 2 criteria you should meet before considering this purchase. First, have a high-end TV. Don't spend $430 on this stuff if you have a mid-range TV that only costs $500. Number 2, have a decent sound system. The reason I say these things is because spending money on either of those 2 things will improve your media setup more than just having these lights. But if you already have those 2 things, you've got a nice TV and you've got a decent sound system, absolutely I would recommend the Hue Gradient Lightstrip, because it is fun, it is cool, and ultimately there's nothing else like it. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, hit that like and subscribe button for plenty more videos to come. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below and I will get to them as best I can. And until next time, see ya.